Underdog Fantasy continues to be one of the best, easiest, and most fun ways to make some money while watching the sport that we all love. If you don't know what Underdog Fantasy is, it's daily fantasy. You come in here, you just say higher or lower than the numbers you see on the screen, and you can more than 20 times your money. You can 100 times your money. You can even get some wrong and still make money. And to top all of that off, they'll give you free money to play. All you need to do is go to wewantpicks.com/underdog, use promo code WWP, and they will instantly match your deposit. If you say, hey, UFC 305 is a good card, I want to make a couple of dollars and sit on my couch watching these fights, well, go there. Use promo code WWP, deposit $20, they'll give you $20. Now you have 40. Deposit 100, they'll give you 100. Now you have $200. You can use all of that money instantly. Build yourself an entry or two, withdraw all the winnings. You can even play with only the deposit match money, and then if you win, withdraw that. Either way, it's a ton of fun. It's super easy. Get the free money. wewantpicks.com/underdog, promo code WWP. You can see across the top, this is every sport, right? We have everything here. WNBA. Let's go build some lineups for WNBA. We're going to focus on UFC 305, and I got to tell you, I am filming this very early, before all of these lines have dropped. And that's fine, because I built an entry. I absolutely love it. It is one of the most confident entries I've had in a very long time. Underdog hit last week. It hit the week. I can't express enough how much I love Underdog Fantasy. And here's a perfect example. If we look at Jairzinho Rozenstruik, we have 6 different choices on his fight. If we look at Mateusz Gamrot, we have 9 choices on his fight. And obviously the payouts are adjusted depending on what we do. Like if you say, hey, Mateusz Gamrot's going to win by finish, it'll double the payout of your entire entry because they know that's an unlikely outcome. But the beauty of this is we can choose 5 different lines and build an entry at various price points to really make a fortune or stay super safe and stable. I absolutely love Underdog Fantasy. I don't know if that's coming across very effectively. Let's go ahead and build the entry that I've got going. I love this entry. Right off the rip, if we look at Dricus du Plessis, his significant strike line is 79.5. We can go with higher, and we're going to add higher here, but I'm going to change it in a second. I'll show you why. Dricus du Plessis, if you run through his fight history, he blows past this number. He has blown past this number in fights that he finished in the second round, let alone 5-round title fights. Dricus du Plessis will cruise past 79.5 significant strikes. I'm very confident in this, but I'm even more confident in a different Dricus line that we'll get to in a second. If we run through the rest of these, so right now you can see this here, higher and lower. That's just numbers on the screen, and we say higher or lower. The reason I'm explaining that is we're going to go over to rivals in a second because that's where I love some pieces. But let's talk about some of these other ones. Israel Adesanya. Listen, if you think this fight goes to the distance, then add the higher of 22.5 fight minutes. I think there's a lot of wild cards here. Izzy's a good counter striker, and if Dricus comes in reckless, he can get caught. Izzy's not the greatest wrestler in the world, and if Dricus just takes him down and starts pounding away, something could happen. Look what happened to Robert Whittaker. Look what happened to Derek Brunson. Let's go down. Steve Erceg, if you think that goes to a decision, which I do think it does, you can add this to your lineup as well. And obviously the payout will be adjusted because that's such a likely outcome. They've changed the payout there. Kai Kara France, similar type situation. I don't think he finishes Steve Erceg, so they don't have the under on finish. But if you do think he gets his striking going and he doesn't get taken down and there's not a wet blanket situation, then the higher on that significant strikes makes some sense. If you go to my website, wewantpicks.com, we have what's called the Prop Hunter. And the Prop Hunter has all the data for each fighter. It'll show you how many significant strikes Kai Kara France lands in decisions, how many he lands on average in fights. So you can look at it and say, well, I think this goes to a decision. What's that number? I don't know if this goes to a decision. What's his general average? All that data can help you build these entries. Tai Tuivasa, obviously, if you're on the Tai side, he's going to win by finish. He's not going to win a decision if you think he wins, and you can almost double your payout going that route. Mateusz Gamrot has the robust set of data here. The other ones will start to fill out as the day goes on, certainly by the time we get to Saturday. If you think that goes to a decision, which it likely does, Mateusz Gamrot's the least dangerous guy in the UFC, effectively. He's basically Movsar Evloev. But what I'm going to add here is the Dan Hooker 45.5 significant strike line. We're going to do the lower there. If you run through Dan's fight history, he doesn't get to that number very often. If you run through Mateusz Gamrot's history, almost no one, and certainly not in a 3-round fight, has ever landed that many significant strikes on him. He's such a wet blanket wrestler that he's taking you down, he's holding you there, and you can't get that many significant strikes going. Gamrot is chinny. He does get dropped. So if that happens, Dan Hooker could potentially finish him and again be under that 45.5 significant strike line. I don't see Mateusz Gamrot allowing 45.5 significant strikes, or what we would need to happen is 46 significant strikes landed. If I take a look at Mateusz Gamrot's sort of last couple of fights, 36 strikes landed by Rafael Dos Anjos. That was a decision. 18 strikes landed by Fiziev. That was a weird injury. 40 by Jalen Turner in a decision. 36 by Diego Ferreira. Like, he's not allowing that many strikes to happen. Obviously, Arman Sarukian cruised past that number. That was a 5-round fight. Beneil Dariush got past that number, but Beneil Dariush has the greatest takedown defense we have ever seen in the UFC. So I'm very confident in the less than 45.5 significant strikes on Dan Hooker. If we go to rivals, this is really where we're going to make this shine. I am ditching this Dricus du Plessis 79.5 significant strikes because I'm going to add Dricus plus 10.5. What you get in rivals, it's the fighters who are fighting each other, and then it's saying who's going to land more. And they're saying who's going to land more significant strikes, Dricus or Israel Adesanya. And they're giving Dricus 10 to start. Israel Adesanya doesn't outvolume anybody by 10. If you run through his fight history, he has not gotten past 10 more significant strikes than his opponents in a while. He's not a high volume guy. He's a counter striker. Dricus du Plessis is absolutely a high volume guy. And this accounts for a crazy quick knockout. If Dricus du Plessis runs in crazy, land the strikes, gets clipped, gets knocked out, we're still good because Israel Adesanya needs to land 11 more significant strikes than Dricus does. I don't see that happening, win or lose. So I think we are good there. Almost the exact same logic with Li Jingliang. I think Li loses. And I still think he's going to land more strikes than Carlos Prates does. Carlos Prates has that touch of death, but he also gets hit a lot. Carlos Prates almost has a negative striking differential. Li Jingliang not only lands more strikes than Carlos Prates does per minute, he gets hit with fewer strikes than Carlos Prates does per minute. Carlos has that death touch, and if he wins, he could knock out Li Jingliang, and he would do so by not landing more strikes. I'm very, very confident in this entry, but like every other entry I build, let's take a look. We do the safe play. We do the option that has the insurance because these are fist fights and anything can happen. We got Dan Hooker lower than 45.5 significant strikes. We got Dricus du Plessis plus 10.5 in rivals and Li Jingliang plus 9.5 in rivals. I absolutely love this entry. This is one of my most confident entries, and we've been crushing Underdog Fantasy, so that says a lot. Guys, if you like this entry, great. If you don't, that's fine too. The most important thing here, though, is get your free money. WeWantPicks.com/underdog, promo code WWP. Get the free money, build your entry, and good luck this weekend.